All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if I don't do it, it won't get done right? Or it's just easier if I handle it my damn self. And you don't say it out loud, but you feel it. And more, maybe sometimes we do, because you're the one person that people constantly go to, the one that can they rely on, the one who always knows the answer. Now, pause for a second because I want you to notice something right now. Doesn't being the go to person feel empowering or does it feel exhausting? Because for most leaders that I work with, my clients and leaders that I worked with in corporate America, it starts as empowerment, like you're feeling completely empowered, and slowly turns into pressure because I've been there and I learned the hard way. Let's talk about how this actually happens to us as leaders. You didn't become the go to person because you wanted control. You became the go to person because you are confident. You follow through, you trust, you care, you think ahead, you see what others are constantly missing or maybe missed. So people do what? They lean on you. And at first, that feels like trust. It feels exciting. You're the go to person. You feel like you're on the top of the mountain and you're kicking ass. But then the requests constantly increase and increase and increase. And then what are you doing? You're enabling the people to learn for themselves. The expectations rise, and suddenly everything funnels to you. And here's where the challenge shows up. You're not just leading anymore, you're carrying the weight. You're carrying all the decisions, you're carrying the emotions, you're carrying the outcomes that shouldn't be yours and only yours. And no one is going to stop you. Why? Because you're doing a phenomenal job. And they know that they're going to go to you and you're going to get it done. And you don't even have to tell them to do it themselves because if you do and it doesn't get done right, then it causes more issues. And then it ends up landing on your lap. So you're like, I'm already busy as it is, and I should just go ahead and do it myself. Let me say something just very gently. And I want you to be honest. And I'm going to be honest, not you be honest, but you could be honest with yourself. At some point, being the go-to person stops being leadership and starts being overfunctioning. You don't become a leader. And overfunctioning looks like this. You answer things before people ask. You fix problems before others feel the consequences, right? You jump in to prevent the argument, discomfort, and then it lands on your lap. And then it keeps piling up and piling up. And then you wonder, why am I so damn tired? I'm exhausted. I'm doing my work. I'm doing such and such work. I'm doing that leader's work and that leader's work. And I'm doing it all. And everyone's coming to me for everything because I have all the right answers. Why does this feel so heavy for you? Why am I starting to, you're feeling irritated about everything? That irritation isn't because you're ungrateful. It's because something is out of balance and you're carrying the weight that you shouldn't be doing. And here's the part most leaders don't want to look at, but it changes everything. Trust me. Sometimes people don't want to step up because you don't want to take a step back. Know you're not intentionally doing this, but your presence fills all the space that it is that or what it is that you're constantly doing. And if you're honest and stepping back feels risky because you feel if you step back, it's going to crumble down, either be it your department, your company. And then what ends up happening is when you're the go to person, you start to micromanage. And then you don't teach people to figure things out on their own. And if you don't allow people to figure out on their own, and if you stop micromanaging and it needs to be your way, because if it's not your way, it doesn't get done the way you want it to get done. But why can't it be done by someone else? It could get done the same way. Maybe it could get done even better. Who knows? Because being the go to person is part of the identity and issue of why you're feeling burnt out, angry, frustrated. It's how you're valued. It's how you feel secured sometimes when you feel like you're the go to person. It's how you feel mattered. So the question isn't, why do people rely on me so much? The question is, what am I afraid of what would happen if they didn't depend on me? Am I not going to be valued for that company anymore? Am I going to lose my job? Is someone going to do a better job than me? Do you see what I'm getting at? Is like all of this stuff goes through our heads because a lot of times when we do these things, we have lack of confidence in our own self, even though you know all the answers. You feel like you have to be the go-to person to feel important. And if you don't feel important, then you don't feel valued. And let's talk about the real pain points here. Because when you stay in the go-to role too long, you feel invisible instead of appreciated. You start resenting the people that you support. You lose time for your own strategic thinking. You lose yourself. You feel guilty for resting. You feel trapped by your own reliability of who you are as leader. And the hardest part is you can't just stop because everyone expects you to be the steady one. Everyone expects you to step up when there's a problem, to figure it out. So you keep showing up and guess what? Quietly burning out. Here's what I want to teach you, something very important, and I want you to listen up. Leadership is not about being needed. Leadership is about building capacity in others and in yourself. Leadership is about building capacity in others and in yourself, not just yourself. But that requires a shift within you. Instead of asking, how do I keep everything running? You start asking, what actually belongs to me and what doesn't? And that is the most uncomfortable feeling because letting go doesn't feel like leadership at first. It feels like loss of control. But control isn't the same thing as leadership. And when we feel that we're in control, guess what happens? Your team, your staff feel like they have to be you. They are scared to make a mistake because they're not doing it like you, right? And here's what the transition looks like. In real life, you pause before responding. You stop rescuing people from learning moments. Let them figure it out. Teach them. You can guide them. You don't have to jump in and do it. You let things take longer than you like. You allow others to feel the weight of responsibility. And yes, things may wobble. Things may not be exactly how you want it, but that's only temporary. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when space is created. And that's the space that you need to create. And let me say this clearly is that you do not lose respect by stepping back. You do not lose trust. You don't lose respect by staying stuck in a role that you've outgrown. When you stop being the automatic solution, people either rise or reveal what's actually broken. And you, as a leader, you can't figure out what is broken if you're constantly fixing it. And either outcome gives you clarity as a leader. If this episode is hitting close to home to you, I want you to hear this, that you don't need to quit. You don't need to disengage. You don't need to become cold and rude and, angry because you're doing this different leadership shift. You just need to redefine your role. That is when you stop micromanaging and you stop being the go-to is when you're going to start seeing what really truly is going on, either in your department, your company, within your leaders, your team, whoever it is. But if you're going to constantly control that at all times, you're not going to see it. And what leaders do is they coach and they mentor and they teach. Because your value is not in how much you carry, leaders. Your value is your judgment, your leadership, your presence, your ability to guide, not to rescue. So let me leave you with this question, and I want you to sit with it just this week. Where are you still being the go-to person? Is it out of habit? Is it non-alignment? And what would shift? Because if you allow someone else to step into the responsibility, even when it feels uncomfortable at first, that's the goal. The goal is to lead differently. If this episode resonated with you, trust me, you're not alone as a leader and you're not wrong. You just need to do a shift. You're evolving and it's okay to change. I want you to do that self-reflection as you as a leader, you as a person, you as a leader. And I'll be here to walk you through what the next level leadership actually looks like. You know where you can find me at Empower with Nancy on Spotify and Apple, Empower with Nancy on LinkedIn, Empower with Nancy on Instagram and Facebook. My website is Empower with Nancy. I'm here to help if you have any questions. If you want to schedule a discovery call, you can go on my website and book a discovery call that is completely complimentary. And remember that you have full control of the will. With gratitude, Nancy.